Ko William Smith, tuku tupuna, no kutirana ai. E whanau ai te tau te kauma iwa whitu te kauma wha. Ai haere mai ia ke Aotearoa I ke tau te kauma iwa whitu te kauma wha. Ia noho ana ia ki te whenua o Wairarapa. Ko Cindy Smith, tana wahine. Ko Joanne, ko Andrew, ko Karen, ko Anna, tamariki. Na Joanne, ko Megan, ko Bridget, ko Fergus, ana mukupuna. Ai te taha o tuku whaia, ko William Smith tuku korioa. Ko Maeghan-Rose Smith tuku ingoa. No reira, tēnā koutou katoa.
William had two siblings. His older sister, who unfortunately died, and his younger sister, who took up most of his parents' time as she was the youngest and the only girl. William Smith's family lived in Johnston in Scotland, and his mother looked after the house and the children while his papa worked various jobs. As during the 19th century, there was definitely stereotypical gender roles, which meant for William, these gender expectations or norms were normal for him. When William was te koutou, his whānau moved to Ingarangi, more specifically Kent. This was because there were more job opportunities for William's papa. While living in Kent, William was forced to leave school at Te Mato in order to mahi so the household could have more money as they were struggling to make ends meet. Because William was the oldest and male, this was his responsibility while his hihita, sister, got to stay in school. William ended up getting a welding apprenticeship at Wingate Limited, which was located in Rochester, Kent. William finished his apprenticeship and moved out of his whānau kāinga to live in Germany, where he got a job welding. William's childhood was not a secure one by any means. He was forced to leave school at a young age in order to support his family, as his papa could not hold down jobs, and his family also did not support William very much. In 1969, William lived in Germany in a small town named Aputau. He stayed in a hostel with other Takatapui. In 1972, William was living back in Kent. He was playing at one of the local pubs with his band named the Celtic Reunion. This pub played music from various cultures, including a few songs William picked up while he was in Germany. This is also where he met his future wife, Cindy Curtis. William still carrying out the gender norms and expectations that wahine should be at home, cooking and cleaning and looking after the kāinga, while tāne are the breadwinner of the household. Now, this belief system would have been carried throughout William's childhood, as he saw his own family carrying out these gender norms and expectations, so he didn't know anything different. However, this was a lot of pressure on William, as him and his family wanted to expand their household and have more tamariki. But of course, because there was an economic recession in the 1970s, this was made hard to do because they just did not have the financial resources or jobs available to make that happen. So William decided to apply for jobs overseas. As we can see from the graph, Aotearoa experienced a massive increase in immigration during the 1970s, which was obviously driven by a demand for labour during the economic boom. Aotearoa's low unemployment levels and opportunities for a better life was also appealing to many immigrants like William. So William did apply for jobs in Aotearoa, and sure enough he did actually land one. So he moved to Aotearoa with him and his family, more specifically in the Wairarapa in Greytown. So William's move was really, really awesome for their family and him, just because now William felt like he had a steady job, he had more economic stability, and him and his family were able to expand their family. So they had 2 more tamariki, and William was able to send them through to primary school and high school. Greytown is the home of Papua Marae. This marae is very important as it was the focus of kotahitanga, the Māori Parliament movement. William felt a connectedness with Māori culture because Māori culture in his eyes is similar to his own Scottish culture. Both have really strong cultural traditions, connections to the land and resilience. Because William is from Scotland, his indigenous language is Gaelic, and he's still to this day learning Gaelic because for a long time in Scotland you couldn't speak Gaelic and it wasn't taught in schools, just like Te Reo Māori. William was able to make friends in the Māori community very, very quickly, so he was able to immerse himself in Māori culture and quickly took to learning Te Reo Māori through waiata. Even though William was forced to leave school at a young age to support his family, he never undervalued the importance of education for his own family and the importance to gain higher qualifications. This emphasis on learning enabled William's tamariki to break the cycle of limited opportunities and pursue higher education. Reflecting on my own life, I am grateful for my granddad William's hard work and support, because my mother has been supportive throughout my entire academic career, as she wants me to have the same opportunities her dad William gave to her, which was very different in comparison to William's household. My parents supported me throughout my schooling, whether that be by reading to me or teaching me how to spell words I didn't know. They always made sure that I knew that they were there to help me and support me and teach me. So naturally, going to university was never an option. It had always been something I knew I was going to do, whereas my granddad William never even got the chance to finish high school, so university just wasn't in the realm of possibilities for him growing up. Now, I will say support was not the only difference between my life and William's. William was forced to leave school at a young age because they weren't financially stable, so they needed another helping hand in earning money for the household. Thankfully, because of my granddad's support for his children to gain higher qualifications and focus on their career, my mother was able to get a better job for herself, which was able to help support me throughout my educational career, and I was able to attend university without having to worry about money or paying tuition fees, because I knew that my parents and my mum could support me, which may not have been a possibility if it wasn't for my granddad's support. It is important to acknowledge that the stability which William found in Aotearoa was made easier by the fact that he came to Aotearoa as tangata tiriti. As William was a part of Eurocentric culture, he had many advantages due to his privilege in Aotearoa, particularly in employment and social standing, which has played a significant role in shaping his journey and the opportunities that he had. As a result of William's hard work, made easier by his privilege, William was able to establish a stable life in New Zealand, which has provided his tamariki, future generations, and myself with a future of stability and security. Throughout William's life, he had the opportunity to immerse himself with ease in diverse cultures in Scotland, England, Germany, and Aotearoa. However, William and I have acknowledged that his experience in Aotearoa and ease was definitely influenced by him being tangata tiriti. William acknowledged the systematic biases favouring non-Māori, explaining that when he moved to Aotearoa, he noticed advantages for non-Māori in academic opportunities, property ownership, and legal rights compared to some of his Māori friends. Growing up with William, my grandfather broadened my understanding of cultures. As tangata tiriti myself, I can acknowledge that I have grown up with privilege, especially when it comes to education. This privilege has allowed me to gain access to quality schooling, academic resources, and opportunities for higher learning. That has come a lot easier for me than it has for someone who may not be tangata tiriti. However, it's also important for me to understand historical injustices and aim for more fairness, particularly when it comes to providing equal opportunities for Indigenous people, as even in my own schooling and throughout my own academic career, I have definitely noticed favouritism towards Western knowledge more than Indigenous knowledge, and I've often seen Indigenous knowledge being taught or appreciated in more of a tokenistic way. William Smith really incorporated traditional gender roles within his life, with him as the primary provider, or as he calls the breadwinner, while his wife cooked and cleaned. Subsequently, these traditional gender roles were carried out when William had his own family. However, from my own personal experience, there has been a significant shift in these gender expectations. Unlike William Smith's upbringing, I saw my parents working and sharing the household chores together. My parents equally shared out the load, whether this was chores, childcare, and working and supporting each other's jobs. This change has made me more conscious of my own independence and self-reliance, as I'm more motivated to support myself financially and be responsible for myself rather than relying on a husband to do that for me. And my grandfather's adherence to traditional roles has definitely come from societal expectations, I think, because he grew up with that and saw that around himself. He felt like he needed to carry that tradition, those gender role traditions out as well, whereas values in my own life generally prioritise equal partnership and shared responsibilities like my parents had. Although I'm grateful for the upbringing that I had and the opportunities I was given, I also acknowledge that this has come from the privilege my tupuna received and the ongoing privilege that I receive as tangata tiriti. Moving forward, I'm committed to honouring and uplifting Māori voices and advocating for the recognition of te tiriti o Waitangi. As a tangata tiriti and future teacher, I want to create a more equal and inclusive society. Growing up, my school was very Western focused, and I never realised how different Māori values and knowledge systems were to Western values until I encountered them in my own studies. While reading Becoming Bicultural by James E. Ritchie, I discovered Māori values like whanaungatanga, manaakitanga, kotahitanga, wairuatanga, and rangatiratanga. These values are vastly different from Westernised values, which are often generally more individualistic. Incorporating Māori values, such as the ones mentioned previously, would be important in order to create a classroom where everyone feels included and equal. Whanaungatanga teaches us the importance of building relationships and creating a sense of belonging. Manaakitanga reminds us to care for each other, and kohitanga encourages cooperation. These values are important for students of all cultures and backgrounds, and as a teacher, I intend to incorporate every single one of them in my day-to-day practice to foster a classroom that feels like kāinga when students come to learn.
You know, when I woke up this morning, I had this old man waiting. When I woke up this morning, and I had the real man needed wait. When I woke up this morning, was myself, and I was lost in the chain. I said, Lord, why do you keep me this way? You know, working at night, working here all night and day. You know, just go back and answer, just be the day. You know, the women in the church, they just want to save my soul. The women in the church, they sure just want to save my soul.